So, Madam Witness, welcome back. You may kindly take your seat. Madam Witness, for continuation of your testimony for this Commission of Inquiry into Local Government Councils and Related Matters, I want to remind you once again that you are still on the oath before I hand you over to Madam Chair for us to proceed. Thank you. Madam Chair, over to you.
Good afternoon, Madam Mayor. We are welcome back.
Afternoon.
Thank you. Council, can we please proceed?
Yes, thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Um, you were explaining before we went on break the CEO and the mayoress, as the case may be.
Nena, danga ne kondi explain bala ñu break affaire CEO bi ak mayor bi.
Do you want to proceed before I ask my question?
waaw waxtaanoon nañ ci mooy ne comme wax naa la ma ne la amuñ a threshold.
As I said, I think we have discussed that already before we left. As I said, we don't have a threshold.
So te foog naa ne tam suñ spending si yëpp mu doon dem in line of loi bi naka la ko waxee.
And as I said, all their expenditures was online with the law.
No, it was not. That is the issue. It was not because the law was not followed.
Nena dede, nena andut ak loi bi parce que soo seetee ñoom lu ñoo di doxal mbir bi ak loi bi andut.
Because if they they are spending money
Nena
unilaterally
dépense bi nga xam ne ñu ngoon di def.
Without the necessary check and balance.
Nena te toppuñu wala mbaa yu xel check and balance.
Then there is the risk of misappropriation of funds.
Nena loolu soo ko seetee loolu dina isi risque wala dina ubbi yoon pour nga gis ne funds yu bëri nañ manqué wala piece of funds.
And mismanagement of funds.
Te dafa nekk tamit ñàkk a toppatoo xaalis bi wala mismanagement of funds.
Do you understand?
Nena understand?
Waaw.
Yes.
That is the reason why there has to be adherence to the regulations.
Nena lii moo war a tax regulations yi nit ñi dañu ko war a toppa.
Understand? You know Fatou Mbengue?
Nena xam nga ku ñëw Fatou Mbengue.
Waaw.
Yes.
Who is Fatou Mbengue?
Nena kooku mooy kan suñu ne Fatou Mbengue.
mooy deputy PRO.
Deputy PRO.
And who was the PRO?
Nena ku nekkoon kan moo nekkoon PRO.
Modou Lamine Biba.
Modou Lamine Biba.
Now there were several payments.
Nena am na ay fee yoo xam ne def nañ ko.
Made to Fatou Mbengue.
Te fee nañ ko Fatou Mbengue.
Now I will show you the voucher.
Nena dana la woon voucher si.
You have voucher number 0000. Sorry, BCC PV220000417.
Nena benn bu njëkk bi boobu la lay woon number bi la ma wax ni 00.
You have 22001145.
22111045.
Yes, all these vouchers
Nena voucher bi yëpp.
were payments made to Fatou Mbengue.
Nena nekk na voucher yoo xam ne fee bi nga xam ne def nañ ko Fatou Mbengue.
All of those payments
Nena seetal fee yooyu yëpp.
made to Fatou Mbengue
nga xam ne fee nañ ko Fatou Mbengue.
were apparently made in her name.
Nena def nañ ko si turam.
Waaw.
As per directives from you.
Nena te nekk na loo xam ne yow yaa leen xelal pour ñu def ko.
she was acting
parce que moom mu ngi nekkoon active
as per your instructions.
ci kaw yow sa kàddu yi nga xam ne da ko instruct
Is that correct?
nga daal loolu dëgg la
lépp loo xam ne Fatou Menga daf ko request
all that Fatou Menga requested
from A to Z
from A to C
man maa ko wax.
I told her
And why is that?
nee na lu tax loolu
wax naa la ko ma ne la
I told you that
suñ soxlee dara
whenever we need something
make a request.
we do make a request
Request lañoo def to the CEO.
we make a request to the CEO
So now it's left to the CEO.
now it left to the CEO
Mun nañu waaw or déedéet.
to say yes or no.
Soo seetee benn si request yi foofu.
If you check one of the requests,
It's from the General Council
it's from the General Council
pour ñu help the flood victims.
to help the flood victims.
But the money cannot be requested by the office of the Lord Mayor to decide as to how to spend this money. It's the issue.
Then our society has be what a request become the Lord Mayor request for what a nakala quarter de passé. Then the late more
Lii council
lead council.
musu ñoo am request boo xam ne dañoo ne mayor bi moom moo ko spend naka la ko bëggee loolu musta am.
That have never
Mooy we request the money.
that have never happened. There is no request that they indicate that it's the mayor who said she need that to be expended in this way. No.
Fatou Menga lu wax was very clear. Mayor
What-
instruct pour ma def request bi.
What Fatwa have said is very clear that I advise her to make a request.
So this is ñun suñ boss stop bi fu mu em mooy make the request.
And what the powers we have or where to stop it, that means to make a request.
So pour naka lañ ko implémenter loolu fa CEO bi naka la ko bëggee.
What the implementation is left with the CEO the way he like it.
Nekkut ne xaalis dañ ko dee jël dugal ko si baat indi ko suma office comme nu ma ko déggee ñu ko interpréter.
It doesn't mean that they put money in the bag and bring it to my office as the way I had them interpreting it.
Flood victims yi,
The flood victims,
for example,
for instance,
it was made through assessment.
it have made through assessment.
What kind of assessment?
Then about some assessment.
Comme ku nekk victime bi lan la soxla
For instance,
soxla na lele.
each of the victims, how you needed or you wanted.
We take it to General Council and it's there in the memo.
We took that to General Council and it is on the memo.
General Council
Who did the assessment?
Then I can more of assessment too.
ñoom Modou Lamine Biba si la bokkoon
More Lamin Biba, because
si Red Cross si lañ bokkoon.
Red Cross was involved.
But they cannot do that.
Then I knew not develop.
It's a procedure for expenditure.
The family you on through the first week.
No, I'm not saying ne ñoom ñoo doon spend it.
I don't say.
Assessment bi.
I'm talking about the assessment.
So who was spending?
Then I can't want to depends.
Kan moo nekk
The depends. Spend.
the office of the CEO, they gave the money, ñun def mooy we request for the money.
What
So
we
money biñ ko jëlee ñu jox ko Fatou Menga.
what we did, we request for the money, and when we got the money, it was given to Fatou Menga.
So through the need assessment, we pay that money to these people.
Through the assessment, we then paid this money to this,
ñooñu ñëpp ñu fa.
and they were all there.
Who lost the payment?
Then I can't want to favor
Fatou Menga.
Fatou Menga.
That is what is wrong.
Then I load more and not on.
I totally agree ak yow.
I-
Why at that time,
I agree, but it happens at the time.
so waxoon sax moo ko doon nangu.
If at all it is myself, I will not even agree
Because we thought we were doing the right thing.
because that was not the right thing.
It is good you are admitted.
Then I come again.
Please listen to what she's saying and you interpret it rightly.
Anyway,
Because she has said that at that time she thought she was doing the right thing and you did not.
thank you, man.
I said it is good that you are honorable in admitting.
Nena, paana de nena, danga neka ko hamne dangena.
Waaw because dama ñëw fii pour jàng xam nga tey su loolu xewee tey.
Yes, because
wàccee baaj bi.
I came here to learn if that happens again in Banjul,
Dinañ ko defee a different way.
we will be doing it in a different way.
Because, for instance, this voucher of $400,000
Then associated voucher be more $400,000.
where the payment description reads cash allocation to flood victims.
Then I think the voucher be for being more cash allocation to victims, flood
Well-
victims.
Where you have a memo from the Lord Mayor
nee naa nga xam ne am nga letter bu jógee si Lord Mayor
to the Assistant Public Relations Officer.
to the Assistant Public Relations Officer.
The subject is General Council's resolution on the need to assist the Banjul flood victims.
nee naa lu mu bind foofu mooy General Assistance to help the Banjul flood victims.
To need to assist the Banjul flood victims.
Need to assist the Banjul flood victims.
Now, following a resolution by the General Council on the 2nd of August 2022,
And associated General Council's resolution being happened in the 2nd of
August 2022,
August 2022.
to assist victims of the recent Banjul flooding.
And to assist the victims of Banjul flooding.
I am proposing on behalf of the General Council to raise an amount of $400,000
In the low we propose to raise $400,000
to assist the above mentioned victims. Bearing in mind that the council is not presently financially buoyant.
Nena waaye ba léegi bàyyi nga xel ne council ba léegi ñu amee si xaalis daal nekkut ne ay nekkut xaalis bi bëri.
Now, the request for interest for support.
Nena loolu xam ne bind nañ interest for support.
That was written.
Nena bind nañ ko.
By the Assistant Public Relations Officer Fatou Mbenga.
By Fatou Mbenga mooy
addressed to the Chief Executive Officer via the Director of Finance.
Daf ko address to
the CEO via the Director of Finance.
Via the Director of Finance.
Because I write on behalf of the Mayor.
Then I've been to the Mayor.
To request for $400,000.
The like they has with them $400,000.
As council support to the flood victims.
Flood victims.
Now, who was this money given to? Who were the flood victims? How were they given this money? Do we have a retirement for this?
Nena léegi kan moo fee xaalis bi ñan ñooy victime yi ak naka la jotee xaalis bi nena ndaa mën nañ retirement.
Yes, it's a question.
Nena laajte la.
I'm so ne Fatou Mbenga dina war a def retirement bi.
I'm sure Fatou Mbenga will do retirement.
Te alhamdulillah ñi jox xaalis bi.
And blessed God, the monies, those she gave the monies to.
Foog naa ñëpp a ngi dunda de ñu fa.
I think they are all alive.
And foog naa dina si yokkale na tam.
And I think I will add some to it.
400,000.
This 400,000.
You put on victims event.
That does not check the victims anywhere.
Man, personally, my family.
For me, personally, my family.
Spend like about 350,000 extra salute.
They have spent more than 350,000.
More than it was very painful.
This is why, or that was why it is very painful. It was very painful.
Interpret as Fatou Mbenga the federal Halis when you indicate some of your job command.
To interpret like Fatou Mbenga took the monies and bring it to my office.
As I said
earlier,
the process might be wrong.
The process might be wrong.
The process is wrong.
Then
okay, it's wrong.
It's wrong, yes.
Now, the amount, like I've always been saying, my position with the lawyers is that even if it is $1, it's funds the how to do expenditure with respect to public fund. Now, who do we know the entire victims of this flood?
Victims of the flood.
How many Fatou Mbenga mungi ame Kate or not, but this was very transparent because NDMA applying the how to call it, and the list fee. Banjul City Council was having the list. And I think even Red Cross might even have the list because you don't need assessment.
I think Fatou Mbenga may have the records or the list because this was very transparent. All these records of if it in BCC we have the list. And the Red Cross too, they have the list of those victims.
And again,
and I want to add something to it.
Fatou Mbenga was just a messenger.
Fatou Mbengue did nothing because she was just a messenger. I was the person who said, who advised him to do that. I wrote it. She wrote it. So I wrote to the CEO. And the money was given to her.
Implement process.
And implemented the process.
So she followed your instructions.
Then a mom instructions with a
CEO.
And that of the CEO.
Because the process of
because the process of how we are going to spend the money.
How implement it.
How are we going to implement?
It's not my mandate.
That is not my mandate.
Man
What all I know, all I think.
Lima General Council Center.
What the General Council advised me to do. That is what I did.
Was there a committee?
Why two?
Was there a committee for
I'm not committee.
400,000? Was there a committee to decide who receives what? Whether it's $1
no
or two?
Then under 400,000 bi dafa am committee bi nga xam ne ñoo war a taxaw pour xam kii ñaata lañ ko war a jokkale ñaata la war.
Why foofu naa wax naa ne there was an assessment bu ñu def ba pare.
I said that I think I have told that there was an assessment before the payment.
Li ñu drive up to 400,000 bi.
What drive us for the amount of 400,000?
dafa war a nekk di assessment bi nga xam ne moom lañ amee moom lañ am.
It's to the assessment that we had.
You can produce the assessment.
And a léegi pour nga def sa kàttan ngay si assessment.
xëy na mu laaj ko di CEO.
I think if the CEO is asked about it.
Because man amuma.
Because I don't have it.
The CEO did not say there's an assessment.
CEO waxut ne dafa am assessment bu am.
That is why it will be difficult for me to ask the CEO.
Ne wata moom kon dana na xarit pour moom laajte CEO.
waaye léegi su ma demee dinaa ko laajte the CEO bu fa nekk because dina fa war a nekk moom.
I think if I go back, I will ask the CEO presently there.
Fatbega was also paid $30,000 for disbursement of media coverage for the 4th town hall meeting on Saturday, 19th of March 2022.
Then a Fatou Mbengue tamit joxe nañ ko lu dem $30,000 yi nga xam ne loolu pour aussi radio bi dañoo war a video coverage.
It was paid to her.
Nee na fay nañ ko si loxo si moom lañ ko fay.
Under instructions.
Nee na te loolu yow boobu tamit sa kàddu la.
It's also wrong.
Nee na loolu tamit nekk na loo xam ne warut.
waaye biir council foog naa nag ma dégluwul bu baax li ma la wax de.
Council, I think you don't hear me very well as what I have said.
angul ma ne la.
I agree to you that.
I totally agree.
Totally agree.
The process was wrong.
The process was totally wrong.
Put tayne kundimba.
If at all, today will be like yesterday. We will not do it like that.
The office of the mayor should be guided.
And I think the office of the mayor should be guided.
Request
All I do request. We need this.
Why? It's not for me to say that.
But it's not for me to decide how it is being to be done.
Why Fatu si suma ron la neka?
But Fatu was under me.
So feke ne Fatu dafa defoon mistake sax.
If at all Fatu did a mistake, even
man dama war honorable pour jël lool.
I need to be honorable to take over that.
So lu ma wax commission bi moy ne.
So what I want to inform the commission is that
xew na.
That had happened.
Su nekkoon tey.
If at all it is today,
neneen lañ ko defee.
It will be done this way.
Again, I understand.
Then
again, I commend you for your cooperation. Because it's individual cases.
Because of course,
I have to get one.
Then I found it on a pen because
that's the procedure. Because the payment for media coverage is different from the payment of, let's say, money for flood victims.
Then associated has become a fair flood victims has become a fair media coverage and
I still know it's a general, it can be general.
Then I'm not a low general
to the fact that the process was wrong. But let's just still exhaust some few of these vouchers.
Do
you understand? Now the media coverage, for instance.
Media coverage.
If Fatou Mbengue request for the amount on your behalf, and the payment is made to Tourist Media Consultancy. Media Consultancy. The question is, how did you contract tourist media consultants?
Nena laajte bi mooy naka nga demee ba tànn Touré Media's consultancy nga contract joko contract.
foog naa waxoon naa la ko ci beginning bi ma ne la.
I think I have told you at the beginning that
niñ daan demee mooy.
the way we were going was
nii la ko council daan defee nii lañ ko defee.
like this is what they always do. This is what council normally do. This is how they do.
amul si benn process buñ jaar.
We don't have any process that we follow.
dañoo seet comme ne GRTS nañ soxla si suñ programme bi.
We will see and check if we need GRTS in our program.
ñu oo GRTS.
We call them.
ñu seet ne Fatou Network lañ soxla.
If we need Fatou Network,
ñu call Fatou Network.
we call Fatou Network.
noonu rek la woon.
That was how we were.
But why is that?
foog naa wax naa ko ma waxaat ko.
I think I have said that and I will repeat it.
And especially when it comes to media.
And especially when it comes to media.
leneen musu ñëw suñ xel mi.
No, nothing have came to our mind.
xaaral ñu seet fi nga xam ne moo gën a am visibility.
To see that let us check where we can have more visibility.
te ba tey maa wax ak yow lii.
And even today I'm talking to you.
ben tey noonu lañ ko defee suñ amee coverage.
That is how we normally do it till now.
just call
Whenever we have coverage, we just call.
Is it that you do not know the
Nena,
procedures involved,
nda xamulen yoon bi nga xam ne boobu moo tëral
or that it
Who
was
knows?
just simply disregarded?
wala just da ngeen ko xam waaye yéena ko faale.
lii council.
Lead council.
foog naa wax naa ko waxaat.
I think I said that and I'll say it again.
man li ma mun a def mooy su ma bugg a laa am.
All what I can say is that I know what I wanted.
am nañ programme.
We have a program
ma ne leen ABC ñu ñëw.
and I advise them or I say to them that
All
call NBC for them to come
media bi mu ñëw.
or call the media to come.
but the process of naka la ñoo ooyee media bi.
But the process of calling the media,
wax dëgg yàlla boobu tam nangul ma ko pour si man.
to truly speaking,
because
that is just-
te dañ leen di fay ñoom tam pour loolu mooy seen liggéey.
I know there are people we used to pay and that is their work.
Lord Mayor, it's difficult
Then why the fan
on my part
decide that
to understand.
for more understand you do.
The reason is,
Then a lot of way.
and that's what I want to understand.
Then a lot of way.
Because, for instance, where there's a law that says payment should be made in this format,
Then so far can am na law bi nga xam ne dafa tëral ne fay bi nii lañ ko war a def.
and it is done quite the opposite.
Nee na waaye doon def nañ ko waaye li ko defee àndut ak mbir mi mu ko waaye.
Now, we must ask the obvious question.
Nee na foofa moom laajte rek moo fa war.
Whether
Ndax
we knew that the law existed,
ndax yëg nga ne loi ba am na loi bu tëral loolu.
whether
Ndax
there was no knowledge of the existence of the law.
xamuloo wala amuloo xam-xam ne am na loi ba nga xam ne dañ ko tëral.
Two are different.
Because ñaari yi bokkuñ.
Because if you knew that there is a law,
Nee na soo ko yëgee wala nga yëg ne am na lu ñu tëral loi bu ñu tëral foofu loolu.
then it may suggest that the action is deliberate.
Nee na booba nit lu war a gis mooy kon li ngeen def da ngeen ko tey.
Know that there is a law governing that.
Fekkee ne xamuleen ne am na loi bu fa nekk.
Maybe that it was done by mistake.
Nee na kon nit mun na wane loolu def ngeen ko waaye juum ngeen.
That is why I'm having this discussion.
Nee na lii moo tax ngay waxtaan ak yow.
The same goes with the subsequent mayors that will come and the CEOs. Mr. Bachil is outside.
Nee na soo ko seetee yëpp na soo ko si CEO bi Mr. Bachili mu ngi si biti.
The other mayors, the CEOs, it's all the same law that's governing.
Nee na mayor yi ak CEO yëpp benn loi moo leen govern.
That's why I asked, and I asked again, was it done with full knowledge of a law governing the payment structure, or was it done in ignorance of the law governing the payment structure?
Nee na lii moo tax nga bëgg a pour nga leeral foofu daa def ngeen ko ci kaw xamuleen ne dafa am lu ñu tëral loolu wala xam ngeen ko yéen a faaloo leen loi bi.
waaye lii council wax na leen ne the process.
I think I told you the process
money were implemented. Naka lañ ko defee.
of not policy were implemented. How did we do it?
boobu du suma cër man pour ma wax the process naka la war a demee.
That is not my side for me to tell them how the process should.
waaye I'm honest enough pour wax la ne.
But I'll be honest enough to tell you that
soo ñëwee si affaire media bi.
if you come to the media,
boobu de wax na suma diggante yàlla laa la wax de.
I'm telling you between myself and God.
ba tey élection amee programme.
Today, tomorrow, if we have program,
dañuy call media bi ne leen kaay leen.
we used to call the media to say, come.
so boobu process bi nag.
That process,
boobu xëy na tamit soo ma ko mënee jàngal fii.
if at all, I'll be teach from
I can promise you ne elect organ of election program.
That knowledge, I promise you, tomorrow when you have a problem,
Nenen lañ ko defee.
I will get it the way we do it.
Because if you write a question for money,
Nena so been the request to Harris.
it's different from writing requesting for a service.
Nena lolo boko tutunga pinda wala nga request for service.
For instance, if you write to say that we need media coverage
Nena so been the nga rebuga na media coverage.
and CEO should facilitate,
Nena te CEO mo wana to handle.
that's different from saying we need $40,000 for media.
Nena lolo andot wala boko to
The difference here is
buga na Harris would be 400,000.
the difference here is
Nena difference be more.
you are now doing the procurement
Nena legi yaw linga nekati def moy procurement.
when there is already the procurement.
Te lolu tana fekana yange am procurement unit.
There's a contracts committee,
Nena moy contracts committee.
not Nena Moy. There's also a contracts committee,
Nena amna tamit contract committee.
and there's procurement regulations
Amna procurement regulation,
and procurement act,
procurement act.
which requires that procurement activities must be done in a certain way.
Nga amne procurement act dingen ko wara def dafa am yoon bo am.
So that's why I asked the question.
Nena li mo tax ak lan laajte.
So again, yaa ngi wax ne comme man su ma nee CEO facilitate.
I think what you are saying that if I say the CEO to facilitate,
Nga wax ne ñu ngi bypass the procurement law.
and that is where you are saying that we have bypassed the law.
No,
When I did it,
to request for payment
and I put request put like that very favor.
is not unlawful,
Then alone ne ko lo xamne andu tak lo
but to be given monies that are meant to follow another process for procurement process,
Nena way joxe xaalis bi nga xam ne boobu dafa war a jaar si procurement process.
to do your own procurement,
Pour yow nga def sa own procurement. Nena loolu andut.
that's totally wrong.
Nena loolu moom dafa andut ak loi.
So my question is, did you know this before or you did not know?
Nena laajte bi mooy yëg nga loi bi wala yëguloo ko.
Why for na lead counsel wax naa la ko waxaat la ma ne la the process is not for me to do.
I think I have cleared that down.
No, the question is whether you knew that there is a procurement process to be followed or you did not know that there's a procurement process to be followed.
Nena léegi ku gàttal wax bi lu mooy laajte mooy ndax yow yëg nga ne dafa am loi bi nga xam ne wala procurement bi nga xam ne da nga war a toppa wala yëguloo ko. Ne am na.
How many procurement dañ ko dee war a follow si lu nekk for example like the media for example.
I don't know that we should follow the procurement even for media.
Why would the media be different?
Nena lu tax yooyu war a utee.
I don't know nii lañ ko fa fekkee rek so to be quite honest loolu moom maa ngi ko doon a dégg tey fii wax naa la ne démba sax barka démba bi amee programme we just call the media ñu ñëw.
As I said earlier on, we just inherited it like that, but I don't have an idea at all. And I said, even a day before yesterday, we got a program the same way we did.
Should it not be the case that the general council, everybody involved, the mayoress, the mayor, the chairperson, the general council, the councillors, everyone present, the clerk, that they as the supervisory body of council's administration
Nena ba wata nekka di ñoo xam ne councils bi nga xam ne ñëpp yéen ñoo bokk si councils dañu war a nekka ñoo xam ne dañu war a wecce.
that the general council as the supervisory body of council
Nena general ñoo nekka supervisory body si council.
be very familiar with all the laws regulating
Nena dañu war a nekka wala dañu war a nekka ñoo xam ne lu am yëpp lu mën a tërali dañ ko war a xam te dañ ko war a toppa.
so when the CEO goes left,
Nena booba CEO su demee yow li nga xam ne àndut ak yoon.
they will know.
Nena dañ ko yëg.
When things are on the right,
Nena su demee su demee nu mu waree
they will.
dañ ko dañ ko.
Is that not supposed to be the case?
Nena xanaa war a nekka noonu.
On a normal circumstances noonu la war a demee.
Yes, that's exactly how it should.
Then
Why-
why? Please proceed.
waaye foog naa wax naa la ne
But I think I have told you that
li ñu wax rek lañ mën a xam.
whatever we are informed, that is what we know.
Council is structured like that.
Council is structured like
But laws are there.
Nena waaye am na fa ay loi.
What work will be the book?
Yes, there is a law that you know,
What about the new implement?
and there is a law that is implemented.
You the one that's funded?
Lead council.
Yes.
It's difficult to fight it nak.
It is very difficult to carry all the fight.
And it's very, very difficult to talk to some position.
And it will be very difficult to talk to someone who have never sit court.
Ninyo watane man mayo.
All what we are discussing myself and
Yo yang ma wahal lulu
you are telling me about the law.
Man mang la wahal the traditional way of governing council.
I'm telling you the traditional way of governing country.
Fe ko ni luwa rek la ñoo top.
If I told we are following only the law,
Doole bu mag la mayor si di am.
then that is I'll have a big
A typical example moy.
For instance, a typical example is that
Nga binda to the ministry.
if you write to the ministry
Ne ko dama gis loo xam ne dafa dem wrong in council.
and claim that you have seen something that went wrong in council,
I want to make restructuring.
and I went to make restructuring,
Mo bindaat la back.
and they wrote you back,
Wan la ne la hello.
you know, like, hello,
Wul ma bindaat.
don't write to me.
So bindaat me.
If you want to write,
CEO bi moom war a bind.
it's the CEO who's supposed to.
Xam nga loolu how embarrassing is that? Number one.
Well, that is an embarrassment.
Number two, loolu lan la woon CEO bi.
Number two, what was that so to see?
Ne bul déglu kii du dara.
Which means now they are telling him not to listen to the mayor.
Some of the evidences are here. Last time moom laa bëgg a tell.
I have many evidences of last year. That was my intention to tell them.
You might not understand.
You might not understand
Naka la suñ doole naka la wiki.
how weak our powers are.
Am na koo xam ne mu ngi toog si xëy na Fajikunda.
I think somebody, for instance, somebody is sitting at Fajikuda.
Kooku di këram rek la toog.
He's sitting in his compound.
Kooku doole bu am si council bi.
The powers he has from council.
Yow amuloo ko. Yow mi mayor bi amuloo ko.
You mayor, you don't have it.
Yes. That's why I said this has to do with the financial autonomy of council. You guys should wait until I give the instructions. When I give the instructions to receive the document, then we can receive it. So that we wouldn't interrupt the proceedings. Now you said you have some documents. We can pause the topic since the register is there with you to see the documents you have. Are they relevant right now, or do you want to?
No, as we go.
As we go.
Ma one line your hand, for example.
Yes, as we go, I can show you some of them as an example.
From say ministry.
From the ministry.
Okay. Very well. Then whenever we discuss a topic and you have an example that you want to show or a difficulty that you have encountered, the commission will be very pleased to receive communications because again, like we stated, Lord Mayoress, the problem is not only with you as the political heads.
Political heads.
Or with the council itself. Or with the CEO and the staff. But every stakeholder in the administration of the local government councils will be looking into.
Képp koo xam ne nekk na stakeholder si council nit ñi war nañu
The rule of audit.
Dina soo demee si biir audit.
GPPA were here.
GPPA.
Local government ministry. In fact, we started with them.
Local government ministry si ñoom lañ dooroon.
Both the commissioners and the councils pointed out some of the things that we think were irregular on their side.
Dina council si te commission bi tamit dañ am ay gestu bi nga xam ne def nañ ko li nga xam ne moo dafa nekk loo xam ne dafa regular si seen.
So that everybody will have the fair share of the cake.
Now
back to the issue. This is in relation to your daily expenses. Where ministry doesn't have a say. That's what we are discussing now. The payment of the payments made to, for example, media for media coverage.
And failing up the fake and cause media go.
Example, these things have nothing to do with ministry communications, correct?
Lolo soko said the nekana kamot connection at ministry. Then baru dega. Yes.
That's what we are discussing now.
Then alone la watani de.
We will definitely, of course, entertain and discuss your relationship with the ministry and the local government service commission.
And both of it sikadam the nani watan sa digante ak ministry of.
We will discuss your relationship with the ministry of local government.
And nani watan ninga sehante ak ministry of local government.
We will also discuss. We will also discuss matters in relation to devolution of power as well.
And devolution of powers.
To see the need to enhance control.
And control.
In certain areas. So we'll get to all of this.
And
in the event you also think some things of importance, don't hesitate to bring it to the attention of the chairperson. If you are given latitude, you can address on those issues. Now, please proceed.
Dama a letter for you, I think is relevant.
I had a letter of which I think is relevant
to the discussion.
To the discussions before we go back.
Should I read it?
Please, let me have it so that we admit it, and then you can seek permission to read it. We apply to tender a letter from the mayoress. The letter is from the Ministry of Lands, Regional Government and Religious Affairs, Quadrangle, Banjul, 10th of August 2020. Addressed to the Office of the Lord Mayor, Banjul City Council, Independence Drive, Banjul, with the subject restructuring of council personnel, signed by Ma Mudu Bah for the permanent secretary, to be admitted to evidence and marked as expert. Yeah. We also have a letter from the Minister of Lands, Regional Government and Religious Affairs to all addressees, 12 March 2020, says the appointments, dismissals, discipline, and promotion of state of area councils. To be admitted together with the other document and marked as an exhibit.
A letter dated the 12th of March 2020, the letter emanated from the Ministry for Lands, Regional Government and Religious Affairs, the Quadrangle. It has reference LM 35/131/01 in brackets 89. It has the subject appointments, dismissals, discipline, and promotion of staff of area council. This letter is signed by Fatu Jiba for permanent secretary. It is addressed to all the councils and the directors of finance and chairpersons and mayors of the various councils. And it is photocopied to the council, to the chairman of the Local Government Service Commission and chairman of Select Committee of the National Assembly on Lands, IEC, and Ombudsman. The second letter is dated the 10th of August 2020. It also emanated from the Ministry for Lands, Regional Government and Religious Affairs, the Quadrangle, and it has reference LM 35/131/01 in brackets 213. It is addressed to the Office of the Mayor, Banjul City Council, Independence Drive, and it has the subject restructuring of council personnel. It is signed by Mahmoud for permanent secretary. These two documents are admitted together as exhibit in evidence and they are marked as LGC/BCC/RL/002.
As the commission places, do you want to talk about it? It is about discipline and dismissal, but then if you want to relate it to this issue, you may.
Nella sfera che hamna linga buka wasibiri pewe de na bobu luni fon mo discipline wa sfera hamna linga wa.
We will still come back to issues of matters of um, employment, discipline, and all that. But if you want to talk about it, discuss this issue, we can go ahead.
Nena nanyawat si aferi employment act discipline nena wa sfera kene hamna linga buka wasimo sikaw ne mom nan continue. Yes.
So we say man indico
The reason why I brought it
because we are talking about administration.
because the administration that we are discussing all about.
And this is why I wanted to read the letter.
Yes.
This is my reasons why I wanted to read this letter.
And want to underline something there.
There, I want to underline something.
Where the ministry stated clearly.
Where the ministry has stated clearly.
Because Society of Human Office of the Mayor, Banjul City Council, Independence Drive, restructuring of council personnel. I acknowledge receipt of your letter dated 27 July 2020 in relation to the above caption subject. The restructuring of council personnel is purely administrative. Therefore, on behalf of the permanent secretary, I write to inform you that such letters should be written by the CEO for necessary action. I look forward for your usual understanding and cooperation. So if the mayor wrote to the ministry, didn't want A, B, and C.
If the mayor wrote to the ministry to say A, B, C.
Lead councillor. Ngane man may the head of that administration.
You said, I am the head of that administration. And you wrote something like this to me. Telling me that.
The letter is just like, this is not your business. Mind your business.
Showing me that, that this is not your business. You need to mind your business.
These letters are public documents.
These are public documents.
Leaders have your ministry.
This will come from ministry.
Records.
Go to records.
Them see CEO.
Go to CEO.
Them see
go to others.
Access to my office.
Come to my office.
So the attitude the first start.
And the attitude start. People will laugh at you. You want to discipline them, they will say, no, she don't have power, don't disturb us. I had that long time until after.
Typical evidence of that money, can you?
And this is typical example.
And this was 2020.
And this is 2020. They don't stop from there.
That very clearly.
They wrote it very clearly.
One discipline then staff.
Indicate to you that you cannot discipline any staff.
That is totally mind your business.
That is to indicate you need to mind your own business.
Another memo.
I have another memo here.
And this smaller one.
This will be showing you
from outside.
Something is happening if at all we don't get it from outside.
Like from auditory.
Like from auditors?
From national audit, for example.
From national audit?
From the office of the ombudsman.
The office of the ombudsman?
From Minister of Finance.
Minister of Finance?
Di nga toog si office boobu doo ko mos a xam.
You'll stay in the office and you'll never know that.
I wrote a memo to the CEO.
I wrote a memo to the CEO.
And this has to do with a witness who talked.
And this has to do with a witness who seated here before.
And I want to tender this. Pour nga xam ndax kooku.
And I want to tender this so that you can know that.
Feerama CEO su nekkutoon office of the ombudsman.
That person with the CEO, if at all it is not the office of the ombudsman, I will not know anything.
Very well. Now we will.
So lii laa bëgg a tender bii tam.
So this is another document that
Because lii mooy wane ne.
This will show.
So don't letter bu jógutoon si office of the ombudsman ñu indi ko ci man.
If at all this letter does not come from the office of the ombudsman to me,
du ma yëg sax ne buro xarab boobu mu ngi doon dox.
I will never know that this thing is going on.
But again, as I said.
But again, as I said.
Soo nekkee si kanam.
If you are a leader.
Da nga accept lu ñëw.
You will accept.
Well, I will apply to have this admitted. We will treat this matter under the issues regarding employment and disciplinary powers of both the ministry, the commission, the service commission, and the area council. And I will also respond to your comments before we go back to the issue of finance. We applied to tender a letter from Lord Mayor's office to the Chief Executive Officer, 14th of April 2021, with the subject Rohey Malick complaint of maladministration against the Banbul City Council, signed by Her Worship Lord Mayor Rohey Malick Lowe, to be evidence and marked as an exhibit. Since just what happened. What that is about that's feeling for us to be.
With your permission, I'm going to read letter B, listen B, mama B.
With your permission.
Let me admit the letter as an exhibit. Then we will give you. A memo dated the 14th of April 2021. It is coming from the Lord Mayor's office. It is addressed to the Chief Executive Officer, and it has the subject Aidenjai complained of maladministration against the Banbul City Council. And the letter is signed by Her Worship Lord Mayor Rohey Malick Lowe, and it is copied to the Ombudsman, Local Government Service Commission, and a file copy is maintained. This memo is admitted in evidence as an exhibit, and it is marked as LGC/BCC/RL/003. Um, so, um, may I suggest that you are dealing to tidy up the evidence to proceed with the finances, and we will return this to her after admitting it for her to read it out, since he is requesting to read it. But when we are dealing with issues of governance, that is employment, etc.,
Absolutely.
then we deal with this issue.
Yes.
So we will give you the opportunity to read this. Whilst we tidy up the evidence, because she was dealing with the issues of the finance, we continue that. When we come to issues of discipline and your interactions with the ministry and the problem of having to discipline the staff, we will talk on that extensively, and you will have to deal with all of this issue to give us a proper insight. All right?
Thank you very much, Honorable. Thank you very much, Honorable Chairperson. Again, um, so for all this, they are already admitted into evidence. Um, just as the chairperson has already um, stated, we will deal with these matters at a topic of its own, as a topic of its own, extensively. And again, for all other things that are related to this, or your administrative powers, or your problems with the ministry, any other body, you always have the freedom to raise it at the right time. Okay.
Wow, Chairperson, letter memo being promoted to the CEO.
This memo to the CEO.
Tender work because of discipline there.
I don't think
That pour paint a picture, pour the lead council will understand it. When make things you don't have your hand when you
my reasons are of tendering this is not to show the commission about the discipline. All I want to do is for council to be aware of what I'm saying, that something have transferred. When I was aware,
the letter from the ombudsman.
this was the time when I got this letter from the ombudsman.
Why the individual concern?
But individual concern,
All the time before the mayor be hamna.
because he is aware of all this at all the time.
So picture buma type would paint.
But the picture that I'm trying to paint here,
More in the neck no help council and mayor for ham.
to indicate to council that whatever is happening in council doesn't mean that mayor is aware of it.
Madam Mayor, we very much appreciate the insight you are giving us as to some of the issues, because I recall listening to you earlier on before we went for our recess, as to you stating that some of the issues you had were very surprising to you when people give evidence before this commission. We understand, and we know that there is that possibility, because we have seen facts to that effect. So we will give you the opportunity to relate all of this as we proceed in your testimony. All right? Thank you.
Anyway.
It already appears to be time, Honorable Chair.
Yes. Is GRPS or no? All right. So we will break for lunch and we will be back by 2. Thank you. We may rise.